Hello my dear viewers. I know it sounds weird, but today I'm gonna take a look at a $365 4K UHD monitor that surprisingly all in all beats my roughly $1,200 one. Well, yes, it's a bit of a strange benchmark or standard to compare against such an expensive screen, but then again, it is my personal experience I had to make, and I myself sure am very surprised. Alright, so today I'll take a closer look at the AOC U2790PQU 27-inch 4K UHD monitor. For some reason, I don't often test monitors, so this sure is a nice change for once. Unfortunately, at the time of this video, pricing and availability are a bit unclear. If you search for this model online, you'd have to shell out somewhere in between $365 to $480 US for it. However, currently it seems it's hardly in stock. This may or may not change over time. For 4K UHD monitors, at least those sporting 60Hz, these days we don't even need to spend that much money on anymore. If you, however, want ergonomic features such as height adjustment, tilting, swivel and so on, along with small extra functions here and there, you'll generally have to spend a little more. To my surprise, today's AOC 27-inch screen not only delivers great image quality, but also does well in aspects such as ergonomics and overall build quality for a price of $365. And keep in mind, $365 isn't necessarily a high price to pay for 4K UHD screens. Albeit, I don't want to focus on the lowest price out there. After all, it can also be had for about $480 in some places. Nonetheless, even at over $400, we're still being offered a lot. But enough with the praising, there can't only be good things about it. What are the downsides here? Before we move on, let me clarify my statement regarding the comparison with my $1,200 monitor, which I've been using for quite some time now. I'm talking of the Japanese AOC FlexScan EV2785 with fairly similar specs. I'm super happy with it, a great screen for content creation, but I find today's U2790PQU by AOC to be even better. Included is a good bunch of stuff. Besides the actual screen, stand and base, there are also cables included. Among those, needless to say, the power cable, a DisplayPort, HDMI, USB 3.0 upstream, as well as a 3.5mm audio cable. Assembling the monitor is not only extremely fast, but easy too. There's really no instruction needed, it's that simple. Aesthetically speaking, the monitor is very elegant and in some way imitates metal, even though most of the outer shell is plastic. Still, in its core, we do find metal, otherwise the screen would plummet to its death with its net weight of roughly 4.7 kilograms. The frameless design surely not only manages to impress me, but many of you too, I believe. That makes everything look much cleaner for sure, but then again, design and looks are a matter of preference. Since this particular model comes with ergonomic features, we not only can tilt, swivel, pivot, but can also adjust the height steplessly. The overall build quality does convince me. With the screen at its highest height setting, it certainly can wobble quite a bit, but not as much as I first expected. Now, just so you're not left in the dark during my review, let's take a quick glance over the specs. As I've already said in the beginning, this is a 27-inch 4K UHD screen sporting an IPS panel, a refresh rate of 60Hz, a 5 millisecond response time, and a brightness of up to 350 candela per square meter. What the screen obviously doesn't bring to the table are features such as FreeSync, G-Sync, and HDR. So it's a fairly standard, classic ergonomic monitor we're talking about here. So probably not a 4K gamer stream, although in my opinion, gaming definitely is not off the table here. But then again, generally speaking, I've never really had any issues playing games on a 60Hz panel. A lot of you think differently though. Content creators such as myself, however, will be happy to discover very good and quite accurate color reproduction on here. According to AOC, we're getting a color depth of 10 bits, although that's probably closer to 8 bits plus FRC. What I find neat is that the VESA standard with 100 by 100mm hole spacing is also supported here. The screws for alternate mounting are already included. Connectivity looks as follows: one DisplayPort 1.2, one HDMI 2.0, as well as one HDMI 1.4. Additionally, thanks to an USB 3.0 upstream, 2 USB ports, one of which, the yellow marked one, supports fast charging. Finally, there's also a 3.5mm headphone output. A pair of built-in 2-watt speakers are also on board. They are audible, but that's about it. As always with built-in monitor speakers, they leave a lot to be desired. The highlight in my opinion for sure is the panel itself. It makes a really good impression to me. At a screen size of 27 inches and a resolution of 3840 by 2160 pixels, we are talking of a pixel density of 163 ppi. The color reproduction also did surprise me. With my $1,200 ASO screen, I was used to a rather cooler, more bluish type of color tone, or a slightly warmer, yellowish one, something that was especially noticeable with a pure white screen. This panel though, that's being used for this AOC model, is able to reproduce a more balanced white tone, basically neither too cool nor too warm. The default out-of-the-box settings, as always as with pretty much all screens, didn't look great for me at all. Luckily, the OSD menu is pretty versatile and allows for a good amount of customization. That also applies to gamma settings, which sadly often happen to be implemented rather poorly. Not with this screen. Navigation through the OSD menu is done via that mini joystick, if you will, at the back of the screen. It needs some getting used to, and it seems more manufacturers implement this way of navigation nowadays. I don't really like it, but how much time do we spend inside the OSD menu anyway? But I also have good things to say about the joystick. The shortcut of choosing a video input or adjusting the volume are two examples, for instance. What additionally could be of interest to some of you might be the implementation of a low blue mode that reduces blue light, which is known to cause eye fatigue. Other than that, the U2790PQU in the simple monitor tests sure did blow me away. I of course want to point out that neither do I own any professional devices for measuring the panel uniformity nor color accuracy, which is why I'll have to rely on my hopefully trained eye, or rather, sensitivity of my eyes. Luckily, I didn't really spot any irritating backlight bleeding, uniformity issues, or bothersome color tints on my particular model. But there certainly are some deviations when it comes to the distribution of brightness. At least I have noticed some, but you only really notice those if you are specifically looking for them. The viewing angles due to the use of an IPS panel obviously are very convincing. Last but not least, I also wanted to measure the power consumption of the screen at different brightness levels. This is where I get 33 watts at max. While officially I haven't tested a whole lot of 4K monitors, I can for now tell you this model by AOC currently is the most power efficient one out of all I tested so far. To sum things up, what can I say here? When I first started reviewing this rather cheaper, more affordable monitor, I honestly expected it to be good, but not really great. If you manage to get the U2790PQU for its $365, in my opinion, this is a monitor hard to beat, but definitely not the best of the best. That should be clear. Because we neither get FreeSync, nor G-Sync, no HDR, and also no high refresh rates of say 120 or 144 Hz. It after all simply is a 60 Hz panel. Real drawbacks, aside from the slight deviations in terms of distribution of brightness, I couldn't find any. However, you need to keep in mind that I do not own the required professional testing equipment to determine the exact color accuracy, color space, etc. For my trained eye, the AOC U2790PQU does make a very solid impression though. It comes with a great price to performance ratio. With that being said, thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next one.